exactly what is out there.
Welcome to BevanWorld for this week, episode Kiksuya. Kiksuya?
Nailed it.
Kiksuya. Joining me as always, Nicholas Pryor.
That's me.
That is correct. So episode 8 synopsis is in two directions. You can read it in the native language and try and fucking destroy it, which I will gladly do. Me can't ki you ya. Take my heart where you go, which is a quote we find out later in the episode, of course. Directed by Utah. Everyone in this fucking show needs names I can pronounce better. Directed by Utah Braithwaite, written by Carly Ray and Dan Dietz. There you go. So it's locked all those fucking names in. So there's 2 episodes left, and as we talked about last week, going into this one was pretty much all centered on the origin story of the Ghost Nation, how it came about, the main dude. But unlike I theorized at the end of last week's episode, it wasn't all that. We did get some other stuff, but it was mostly all Ghost Nation stuff. What are your initial thoughts on this episode, Nick?
It was a much slower episode, but I think it was just as important to flesh out the backstory of the Ghost Nation because we needed it. Like, we had no idea what was going on with them.
Mm-hmm. I think it's up there as one of the best episodes. I mean, it's such a side story thing that at times is necessary, but at the same time, I felt like it was very much a self-contained story for most of the time. And oddly enough, this love story, if that's the simplest way to describe the plot of this episode, I suppose, is it is at heart a love story. It is oddly touching. Like the moment when we get to it later in the episode, when he finds his partner, you know, in the frozen facility or whatever you want to call it, in the base, and then he sits himself back down, he starts crying. I was a bit like, oh my God, like this is, and then you're like, they're fucking robots. Like, why am I, why do I care? But I mean, that's Westworld, I suppose. That's why these things happen. One of the best acted episodes, I think. Zahn McLaren delivers probably one of the best performances. Well, it's up there with some of the best performances in Westworld. A performance that is driven at times a lot by his face and his eyes and just what he's delivering across those features and less what he's actually saying, which kind of makes the episode and helps a lot of the slower moments or the more heartfelt moments come across because of him, and they would have fallen flat without him, I feel. So applauded for that. And also one of the most beautifully shot episodes. And I think that adds to the slowness pace of it at times, because they do spend a lot of time going, we have these beautiful fucking sweeping shots that we've showed you once of this desert, but when he goes back there, we're going to show you it again for another 10, 15, 20 seconds, because guess what? It looks really good. So too bad. And you can't really complain too much because it does look really, really good. And even some of the close-up shots of his face, and I should have looked up if the cinematographer is the same for the whole show, but I can imagine it might be someone different just for this episode, because
quite possibly,
a lot of the shots were quite different to the episodes we're used to. So all that stood out for me. So I think it's a powerful, emotional episode that is equally necessary for the show in terms of the Ghost Nation stuff, but also just interesting as a side standalone story about this character that we didn't know much about. Jumping into it, as always, we're going to be breaking down piece by piece, section by section, what happens throughout the episode, spotting anything interesting that happens and just talking about it. So we start in the present, and we don't start with Ghost Nation, as was we open with the man in black, who is somehow managed to crawl all the way to a river, seemingly willing himself not to die. I don't know how else he's not dead. It seems to be the only reason he's not dead seems to be because of stubbornness at this point. I don't know. It's odd. And then the Ghost Nation dude, who I don't think we know his name at this point, so I haven't wrote it down here. Ghost Nation dude shows up in his horse. Man in Black mentions how he can't understand anything he's saying. He's like, I didn't bother taking the time to learn your language, which I find odd for someone who's obsessed and studying the park so much, you know, that he never actually took the effort to try and even learn any of their language, not even like the basic simplicities of their language for someone who's obsessed.
It was a non-factor to him. I think just whenever they come up, he would just shoot him, I suppose, but
you know what I mean? Like someone,
because to me, his obsession isn't about the host and all the stories. It's trying to get to the, I don't know, the maze or whatever.
Well, it's turning out to be one of his downfalls is his sinus. He says, the Ghost Nation dude says, I remember you. Bends down, chucks him on his horse, carries him back to his camp, chucks him up against a tree or on the ground basically, and then says, death is a passage from this brutal world. You don't deserve exit. And then he turns around and looks over, and we see Maeve's daughter is over there and sitting on the log, quite happily, given that everything we've seen, and this episode does do a big 180 to reverse and show you that every time we've seen, even in last week's episode when we saw her kidnapped, and old times we've seen them try to be kidnapped, the episode does a big 180 to show it was never about that. So it sets it up nicely here with, oh, she's safe. She's just over there chilling. She's got a doll. Everything's fine. The one person getting told that, yelled at and saying they don't deserve death is Man in Black, who, for all intents and purposes, is a bad guy. I mean, we root for him at points, but he is a bad guy. So then we flash back to the past, when Maeve is with her daughter, just when she was actually in that storyline, and we get to see a bit of how the daughter was given a rock with the maze written on it, and she says, oh, the dude gave it to me as a warning or something like that, which, once again, another element just set up at the top of the episode that they wrap back around towards the end of, why would he be giving her a rock with the freaking maze on it? You're like, why? That doesn't make much sense, but we get back to it in a little bit. Flashes back to the present for a little bit, and after we get past all this stuff, we do basically get to Ghost Nation just full on for a while, but have to see a bit of Maeve, who's on a stretcher, being carried in by Sizemore. Comes in, dude in the room is basically like, no more, gotta take it, just fucking dump that one, just chuck it out. And then he's like, no, you have to fix this one. And the dude's like, don't you fucking know they're trying to kill us? Like, I'm not fixing it, just fucking kill it, get rid of it. That's what are you on about? And then Sizemore just yells, she can control the host with their fucking mind.
Like an absolute batty fucking
nonsense, dude. Yeah, it was a bit weird. So they check ahead. Sizemore, after everything seems really weird in this scene about the prospect of her quote unquote dying, which
I don't understand his motivation.
At this point, I don't know. It's, I suppose you can take it as interest in like he just likes the tech. He creates these stories. He's created these characters, maybe because he feels like some sort of connection to them because he wrote them. I suppose like they're children, like, you know, something along those lines to him, I guess. So he does have some sort of attachment, but it does seem weird when at one point he would be quite happy just to have them all killed. But I suppose what they're going for is over the journey with her and the rest of them that he's come to see them for more than just empty beings, I suppose. And everything he's seen Maeve do, especially by the time we get to the end of the episode, with his last scene with her, it's, I suppose, just setting up that he sees her for more than just the robot or the AI that she is, I guess, after all that journey. Or maybe he just respects her because she had everything she's done. I don't know. It is a bit weird, but
possibly. Yeah.
It's a very fast turn for that character, though, I felt. Then the ghost dude walks up to the daughter on the log and asks if she can remember all the lives she's led and the past. She doesn't say no. She doesn't say yes. She doesn't say fucking anything, really. She just sits there. But I suppose the implication is that she is awakening, I guess, along with everyone else.
Possibly.
Then we go back and we jump back into the past. And this is, for the rest of the episode, it's kind of just like him telling this story to her, which, when you think about it, with the ending.
Yeah.
When you get to the ending and we find out that Maeve has just been listening through her daughter and that he's
Yeah.
aware that she's doing that, then I suppose this whole episode is really he's telling the whole story to the daughter, but he's also telling this whole story to Maeve.
What I read was when he's speaking English, he's speaking to the daughter, but when he speaks in his own language, he's speaking to Maeve.
Yeah. Well, for the most time, he's speaking his own language, isn't it?
Yeah. Yeah.
So, and then every now and then it's the simpler parts. He'll say to the daughter, like, and then I wandered for what, like the quick intermission type parts. So that makes sense, I guess. So we see him and his partner in bed, and he says that we lived a warm, easy life. And this is the English sections, I suppose, the simpler stuff he's trying to explain to the daughter. And this all is pre-Ghost Nation. And we find out later, very much pre-Ghost Nation, and to the point that Ghost Nation doesn't exist in the storyline yet. This is what we're watching currently is when the park's not open yet. It's before Arnold has been shot. It's before all of that. So this is, I suppose, them dumping them in Westworld and kind of just everyone's playing around, but they haven't opened the park. They're still just experimenting. But it kind of just shows that when they were first setting up the park, I suppose, especially Arnold, they go, he's trying to set up a peaceful, fun type thing. You know, he doesn't go for the quote unquote crazy Indians running around cutting dudes' heads off. He's gone for the quite Native American Indians, like sitting in the just having a peaceful life. And that's what it is from the outset. He then says, I found something that changed their lives. And then his name, which you can help me if I Akecheta is what it's Akecheta.
Well, I'm not going to say it any better than that.
So for the rest of the episode, I will refer to it as Akecheta. And if it's wrong, I'm sorry. I tried.
I think later in the episode he just gets referred to as Ake. AKE. Like a shortened version.
I'll call him Ak.
Ake.
Ake. AKE. AKE. Just AK. AK.
Yep.
AK
Racing.
AK. Check it out. Sponsor of the show. Not yet, but can be. I'm calling him AK. So AK walks down an embankment and hears a lot of gunshots. And he walks and walks and walks, and then we see the church from the season 1 that was a big plot point of the first season, and we see a horse run by, and it's the church where the bunker is down below where Arnold did a lot of stuff. And then he walks into the town, he follows along into the town that we all know, and of course we see Arnold dead on the ground, Dolores dead behind him, shot herself, shot him.
Everyone else dead.
Everyone else is dead, bodies all over the place. This scene that we've seen several times at this point, but from a new perspective. And it kind of explains how and why, this whole episode explains how and why the maze gets put into people's bodies, gets spread around, how this even happened. Because I suppose up until this point, the assumption has always been Arnold or Ford planted the maze in parts around the park. And, well, technically Arnold did, I suppose. But he didn't put it in the big secret places that hosts have found at some point. He put it... It was on the I think it was a skin of an animal or something like that. Or was it? I don't know. I couldn't really figure out what it was. But there was something on the bar bench inside the.
Oh, that thing, yeah. He gave Dolores to play with.
Yeah.
Little coaster thing.
And he finds it, and he starts getting obsessed with it straight away. You can kind of tell. Yeah. He's AK's staring at this thing like, what is this on? He's woke. He's becoming woke. So, which is, I don't know. It's just, it still seems to jump ahead a bit much for me. I suppose it's just a bunch of lines, and it's. I mean, it is a maze.
Well, how long? It feels like it took Dolores a long time to figure it out.
The maze.
Yeah.
Well, it took her ages, but this dude isn't even trying to find his way. He doesn't even solve the toy factor of it. He just becomes obsessed with the symbol, I suppose. Because then it cuts back to the whatever you want to call it, his camp, his village, whatever. And he's scribbling it in everything, and they're showing that the animal hides that they're hanging up to dry out, I suppose. I don't know what they
roast or whatever.
roast, yeah. That he's scribbling it or cutting it out on the inside of these animal hides, and AK just become obsessed with it, and the rest of the tribe's yelling at his partner. You know, your man's crazy. What is he doing? He's becoming. He's lost his fucking mind, and he's just over in the background, still just continuously just scribbling it on stuff. So, then we learned that Ford wanted a full-on narrative overhaul at this point. I suppose this is, of course, after.
Was it Ford though?
Yeah, the quote I heard from the two people. Because we cut to a scene where AK and the tribe leader, I took it, like that woman or something, like she seemed like the leader, I guess. Her brother, it was, yeah.
I think so, yeah.
Her brother is there also, or something like that, some relation. And then they're sitting in a bench and two people are going over them, programmers or whatever. And then, the quote I heard was, Ford wants a complete narrative overhaul.
Oh, okay.
So, I mean, I took this as... This is after Arnold died. We don't know exact amount of time. That's the thing. But we know this is after Arnold died, before the parks actually open, blah, 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 blah. But Arnold died. Arnold's out of the way. Ford starts changing things. And Ford starts... one of the first things he does is make stuff more violent, more fun, more quote-unquote fun, of course, because... Whatever. In his words, more fun. But, yeah, he makes this... Ghost Nation towards the storyline that he wants, which is this big, violent level 5, level 10 boss in the park to run around. And then we get to see a bunch of scenes about Ghost Nation doing whatever we basically know that they do, which is run around, kill people. We see we get introduced to this one scene where they're killing a bunch of people, I don't know, that are trade. It's a weird scene. I didn't understand it because we get seen this one scene several times where he like slits someone's throat, kills someone else, whatever. But there's like two sheriffs or something. Like
no, they're two guests in the background. They're just watching it.
Oh, it's two guests just watching it. Okay, that makes sense. Okay, that makes sense.
They're not the hosts. Yeah,
that makes sense. Because I was like, I don't understand how this storyline's all working. Like they're just standing there while the Ghost Nation dudes are like murdering. Travelers or something. I don't know. It was rather odd, but that makes more sense. Then we get to see follow up on this. To me, this scene with Logan is kind of them fixing something from season one of small things that you could complain about that didn't make much sense, because in the scene where we see William stick Logan naked on a horse, tap the back end of the horse, and although it looks cool, and it's cool for William as a character then to get revenge on Logan, who's a dick. But it didn't really make sense. Like, well, the horse, like, does it just go until he gets out? Like, it doesn't really make sense. No. It didn't make sense. And this scene is kind of them finding a way to tie it all and fix that. Not really a plot hole, but small little thing, that detail that people have had issues with, I suppose, since the first season.
I suppose if you took issue with that, this doesn't really fix it either, because he just comes across him and puts a blanket on him.
Yeah, I suppose it just shows that no, the horse didn't run into an invisible wall and then he found his way out, or the horse didn't magically take him back to the entrance or exit to the place. It does just show that the horse eventually just fell over from dehydration, exhaustion, and then Logan just had to wait it out until his quote unquote people showed up to save him. And then this kind of adds into the whole him getting the drug addiction after, I suppose. Like, this is a traumatic experience of some sort, to some degree. I mean, I don't think he would die in there, because this is when the park is open. So, I mean, the horse could have fallen over from exhaustion. He could have been sitting there for, I'd say, max a couple hours before someone shows up. But you have to imagine that it doesn't take that long for the people monitoring the park to notice that A, a horse has died here, and B, a guest hasn't moved from the same spot for X amount of hours. So I suppose if they correlate the two details together on the map, you kind of get to go, someone should go look into that, because that guy hasn't moved for several hours and his horse just fell over and died at the same time. That's a bit odd. But Logan is muttering to himself up against this dead tree in this area that AK finds himself along, these sand dunes that for some reason he just decides to walk out upon. I don't understand how he gets here the first time. It's like after they murder all those other people, and then he's like, I'm just going to go wander for a bit. You guys do whatever you need to do. I'm going to go wander for a bit. And I found these pretty sand dunes. And then everyone directing the episode said, let's do about 1,000,001 pretty sand dune pans, which do look really good. But yeah, and that's what we find.
Also, did Logan mention something about another world or getting out of there or something like that?
Yeah. So
I think that's what
triggers.
Motivates him to go look.
Yeah. Well, I think that's what motivates him to keep going, I guess, at that point. Because he could have turned around at any point, but AK sees the dead horse, goes, oh, that's interesting, I'll go investigate. Finds Logan. As he's bending down, Logan is muttering rubbish, and one of the things Logan says is, this world isn't real. It's not real. There's a way out. There has to be a way out. Got to find a way. Like a bunch of absolute gibberish like that. So, and then AK gives him his blanket off his horse. Or I'm sure it's not actually a blanket, but whatever the proper word for what he gives him is. And then he says, your kind will come for you. So it does seem to trigger something in his mind about... Well, up until this point, he hasn't seen like real people in the world or anything like that. He doesn't seem... But it's just... I think it just tickles something inside of his head that goes, yeah, this is a... This world isn't right. Like that inkling of a feeling combined with his obsession with the maze leads him to want to investigate further and see what's happening. Then he ends up taking. We cut to a scene where he's walked up upon his old village or encampment, whatever you want to call it, and he is trading with them. I guess. I don't know what he was trading. Hides for rocks, hides for feathers. I wasn't really...
Yeah, it was weird. It was like a basket of hay or something.
Yeah, it was like a basket of hay or something, and he was like trading stuff for it. I'm like, I don't know, in all the Elder Scrolls games I've played, I don't know if these equal gold value, you know? Like, it doesn't seem very fair. But in the background, he recognizes his ex-partner. Like, I assume... they're not married, so it's like girlfriend, I suppose. But he recognizes her in the background and begins staring at her, and then one of the other dudes is like, you can't stop staring at her, you fucking dog, get away from her, my people.
Yeah, because they I believe they called him outcast or something like that.
Yeah, outcast. Rockamummy in the chat just said it was corn.
I'll have to take your word for it.
I have to take your word for it. Yeah. It looked like feathers or something to me. I don't know. And then we get more VO, as he says, with each day my senses grow stronger. And then we see them killing the same people as before, the dudes on the ground, murdering them. And then he just realizes that he's done it all before, seemingly. Like he kind of puts the knife under that dude's throat. Yeah, Groundhog Day-esque. He puts the knife under the dude's throat and kind of is just like, I've done this. Something's going on. I've just seen a glitch in the Matrix. I don't know. Black cat, don't know what's happening.
Yep.
So with remembering all this, he goes to look for Logan. Now, the interesting thing about all these scenes are that he is... Well, we find out later he hasn't died once at any point. Like, we find out later he never dies once. So it kind of does make sense that he recognizes that he's done those killings of those dudes before. It's not like he died and he
hasn't had a hard reboot or something.
He hasn't had any sort of reboot. So he's literally killed the exact same dudes, gone and wandered around for a couple days or a week or whatever it was, come back around and gone to kill the exact same dudes. He's never died and got rebooted or anything along those lines, where maybe some of his other people have, but he never has. He's literally wandered back around and done a full 180 circle back to the end of his trail, and the same people are there. So it makes sense how his brain would be like, this isn't right at all. So with that, he wanders back down to those sand dunes, tries to find Logan because he thinks he'll be able to help him and give him answers. But of course he is gone. They don't really need to show when he gets picked up. We don't need that necessary information, but
It's
it's
not
fine.
critical information.
Yeah. So he decides to wander longer because I suppose he's like, well, maybe I'll just keep going. Because why the fuck not at this point? like I did a full 180 back to the start of my storyline again. I'll just keep going in a direction I haven't actually gone before. And he finds himself at the project, or whatever you want to call it.
It's the exact same valley that was being dug out that William showed Dolores.
Yeah, so the valley beyond, or
Yeah.
as we assume that's where everyone's going come next episode. The valley beyond. But this, we actually get to see a bit more of a closer look at what's going on. I couldn't gather anything particularly from what
just
was happening.
like sci-fi building crap.
Yeah, it's a very big hole, bunch of pipes leading down, but I mean that's just oxygen for the facility inside or something like that, you could take it as. And then there is a hole, a door, sorry. There is a door leading into, I presume, whatever is inside the facility, whatever the facility happens to be. So he spots the door and then, quote, "This is the wrong world." And he wants to get inside that door, and AK starts believing that that door is the way outside of their fake world, which I suppose he's right. Like, I mean, it's going to lead into a human built facility, I guess. So he sneaks back into his village or whatever, and he basically kidnaps his partner, his ex-partner, his partner from another life, his whatever you want to call it, kidnaps her. We're off to a good start, because the start to any good romance story is in fact
kidnapping.
Kidnapping. That's how
I met my wife.
Kidnapped her. That's well. I'm getting great tips on the show. That's what I'll do. I'll just go.
Stockholm syndrome. It's your friend.
God. Don't take anything we just said seriously. Maybe so he carries her for some while, and they come across a cave or whatever, and he goes down to the river and he washes off all of his face paint, his Ghost Nation, whatever. I don't know. Is it the blood of? Is it the charcoal of his victims? I don't know.
No, I think it's just paint, but the red was the blood that he put on his face earlier. Yeah,
that makes sense. And then he cuts her free eventually, outside this facility or outside the cave. But of course, she doesn't recognize him because she's not woke. He's woke.
No, he's woke.
He's woke. But he brings a phrase. Says a phrase that brings her back to slowly remembering him.
Something about "take my heart with you" or something.
Yeah, I got as much as "take my heart when you go" and something.
Yeah,
written down here in front of me.
Something they had said earlier.
Yeah, early in the episode
together. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. So they repeat it here, and then she says, "AK." Well, she says his real name, but for the sake of this episode, she says, "AK." So then we get AK explains that they need to leave this world, and they have a way out, and she very much is just apparently like, that all makes sense to you, crazy dude who I seemingly forgot about for some point in my life, but it all makes sense. We'll do whatever's necessary here. Says that the door was hidden from him because he couldn't find it.
He comes back and it's all covered over.
Yeah,
like it's all been filled in.
It's all been filled in and it's all missing. So, I mean, you can just take that as every other facility entrance or exit that's in the park, we know it comes up from the ground and it goes back down. And then, of course, they
had to have built it somehow. Yeah.
So they dug the hole out and then they've done whatever they need to do and they've put an elevator system in and they've covered it back up, presumably, is what we're going for. So it's not that he can't find it. It literally is, it's there. He just is not able to see it. But he says we'll keep searching and believes that now that he's with her, they'll be able to find it together. Oh, # true love or something along those lines. And then he goes off one morning, he finds food and he's bringing back the food. He sees that two humans have shown up in a buggy and are taking away. And she's in off mode. She's just like, chilling in the back seat like a doll.
Yep.
Cool. Stockholm syndrome. Once again, it's fine. He goes back to the village. It's all over the place. He's like, I'll wander all the way to the edge of the earth. Oh, don't find the place. I'll keep wandering. Oh, I'll just sneak back into the village. Get a job, mate. Like, just all over the place.
He sneaks in and it's not her.
Yeah, sneaks in, has a look. Not her.
Been replaced.
Someone else. There was a movie. I was trying to think of the movie. There was a movie where there's like a similar plot where they just replace everyone in the village or something like that. I can't remember the name of it.
Stepford Wives.
I mean, yeah, sure. I guess Stepford Wives. He begins scouring everywhere for her, thinking that I don't really understand what his theory is. I guess like maybe they've moved someone else to here.
Yeah,
But she might be somewhere else, so I'll just wander around.
I mean, technically his theory isn't wrong, but I just don't know how he came to it. Because they do move hosts around and do all that kind of stuff. They do,
yeah, because Maeve gets moved from where to there. But, I mean, she didn't get moved anywhere.
I suppose he thought it because it happened to him.
Yeah, that makes sense, I guess. Yeah, because he got repurposed. And he knows he got repurposed because he knows he used to be part of that village, so... Yeah, that makes sense. I can roll with that. We can work with that. So he starts scouring everywhere for her, wandering around towns where he shouldn't be. You know, got a native person walking through the town. All the hot cowboys are gun ready, touting to shoot him. Not a very good idea for AK. Not a smart idea at all. One day he is near death. We assume it's because he's been beaten up or something.
Gone to the wrong part of the town or something like that.
Something along those lines, I guess. And he's crawling along the ground, and he says in the story, as he's saying in English, so it must be to the daughter at this point, that because he's about to give the big hammer on the head. He said he's afraid that if he die, his memories would get deleted, which is probably true. So, but the daughter, Maeve's daughter, shows up, gives him water, which is the elixir of life. The healing water, because if you got the shit beat out of him, nothing solves that quicker than a nice cold glass of Mount Franklin water. But you know, whatever. So she seemingly saves him, and he doesn't forget that she did.
It's where he learnt the kindness of strangers.
Yeah, the kindness of strangers. Goes back to the village, the whatever hut town. Seemingly more of his well, they're not his people at this point, but he once were his people were are being replaced. So other people are going, and the elder woman seems to have noticed it somewhat as well. She's not woke, but she's becoming woke.
He's just there creeping on him, staring at everyone.
Yeah, well, I suppose he's hoping one day maybe she'll just come back at this stage, I guess. Like, he can't find her anywhere, so maybe she'll just turn up one day. So he talks to the elder lady about, because her brother at this point, or whatever it was, has been has disappeared and is being replaced by someone else, and she's kind of aware of it, and he's also aware of it. And then he explains to her that this world is wrong. This world is not right, as he keeps telling everyone. And then he kind of gives up on this whole being a creeper, staring up, waiting around, decides, go back to my job as a mass murderer for a while, see what I can do there. So he goes back to Ghost Nation. His people were apparently just waiting for him somewhere, and he's like, I'm back, guys, after about 2 weeks wandering the earth. but I'm back. Let's go back to try and kill those people that we've already killed several times before. That sounds fun. Let's go do that. He kills a couple of people, and he instead of doing anything, he wanders up towards the hosts, or that you said, guest, sorry, wanders up to the guest in the background and gets himself shot.
Yeah. I think he does it on purpose.
Yeah, he does it on purpose, because he's like, he says a line about if he couldn't find her in life, he might be able to find her in afterlife.
Yeah, he needs to go beyond death or something like that.
Needs to go beyond death. So it's all part of the plan. How he knows those dudes will just walk. He doesn't even try and like aggravate them. He's just like, I'll just walk up to them. They'll shoot me. It's fine. Whatever. They're just chilling there. But
I think, does he... Oh, no, he walks up,
He just walks up and they shoot him.
Does it in a menacing way.
Yeah. Like, just like, hey, how you going? Bang. Oh, thanks for that. Was waiting to get shot. Rocky Mummy in the chat just said it's the son. Yeah. Of that we're presuming is the elder lady of that group, I guess.
Tribal elder. We're not
tribal
just
elder. Yeah. You just assume all elders, like, you never see an elder of a village in any of these things that's like young, but they're the elder. Like, the elder's the name. Isn't elder, you just call them an elder because like they're the boss, or like, you know what I mean? Like the thing. Yeah, the leader. But doesn't mean they have to be old, but they are always old anyway.
Yeah.
Because it's just how it works. It's like the Pope.
I guess, yeah.
I guess. So back in the facility, sitting down on a chair, and they discover that he hasn't died in 9 years, which is why he hasn't been updated. So 9 years between. If we're gonna assume that, if we're gonna presume when we first saw him is kind of he wouldn't have been in the park for long at that point, I guess, because Bernard was like, the park's not open, they're still fucking around, so we're gonna put them in at least year 1 at that point, and then so the rest of what we've been seeing has spanned 9 years, and for 9 years he has somehow managed not to die, which is fucking crazy, really. Given
I've done it almost 3 times that now. Well, 3 times. I haven't died for 9 years.
Are you going around committing murders and killing people? And
No, I'm definitely not.
yeah, I feel like your 3 times of 9 years is a lot safer than his 9 years. Some would say.
Let's semantics, really.
So they say that he's Alpha 2.
Yeah.
So not beta.
An early access model.
He is the worst of Steam. is what he is, really. And then the tech dudes and the woman there, they have this weird back and forth where they explain that they're all freaking out because they assume everyone would be more up to date by now, or the older models have kind of been rotated out of the park, or these sorts of things most of the time.
Would that make him one of the ones where the face opens up?
Yeah. It'll have to be one of the ones where the face opens up, And this seems to be a big problem. Like, someone's fucked up something, is kind of what I gathered from what...
I believe... all I took from was that there was not meant to be any of those older models.
In the park still.
Yeah.
Yeah. And instead of taking it to Ford or whoever and being like, how did this happen? This dude's still in the park. The woman who I suppose is the advisor, like the other two dudes' boss, the supervisor of whatever part. It was just like, update him, stick him back in. Yeah. And like, what, really? That update him, just fucking stick him back in. Kind of like shoving the problem under the carpet.
I'm not going to tell the boss of you.
It's like, if you don't say anything, I won't say anything, and we can all fucking get back to whatever we need to do. But as he's sitting there, as they all walk off, they get his update going? I'm not actually sure. They get his update going, and then he awakens in the facility. Wakes himself up. Don't know how.
He doesn't Maeve.
He doesn't Maeve. It's what we'll call it, I guess. So then AK wanders the facility. I suppose at this point in his mind, he thinks he's in the afterlife, or hell, or heaven, or something like... he doesn't know, of course, what it actually is. So it's you have to think that he's wandering the afterlife or something.
I don't know. I understand how he wanders the whole fucking place uninhibited. Like, there's nobody there. It's like fucking abandoned.
Yeah, maybe it's just early days. They're not as many employees. I don't really know. Maybe they only have Westworld open at this point. They don't have the other parks open. Not as many people there. I mean, you can add reasons. But yeah, it is a bit weird that he manages to wander literally all the way through that area of the facility, down
cold storage,
down the escalator, all the way down to the cold storage. It was a bit odd,
with heart-shaped box playing.
Yes, which was another nice redone song for this episode. So AK wanders around, and he does indeed find the cold storage where he finds Kahana, I think is how it's saying, but I will just refer to her as Co from now on out. Thank you. AK and Co. And he spots a whole bunch of people, of course. I don't know. I don't think there was anyone there that we needed, like, any Easter egg.
No one that I realized.
No one I recognized. So he's wandering around there, spots her, and of course he's kind of like, "Come on, we're gonna come back. We're gonna leave." And then he realizes that I don't know how it's one of those things. Is like, how does he process it in his head? I guess you don't really know, but so he realizes that she's dead. I guess in his mind to a point. Like, he realizes that she's not coming back, or he can't save her, or just realizes that she's officially gone for good, I guess. And then he's hugging her and crying and getting all upset about it. And then he sees the chief, as Rockamom, he's put in the chat, chief, not elder. Semantics, once again with these fucking semantics. Sees that the chief's son is diagonally off to the back there.
Yeah. iRobot style.
Yeah, kind of. Stand there all weird like. And then he accepts the fate of Ko and explains that his means, I don't really understand, like he's saying it was selfish for him to be so obsessed with wanting to get her back when other people were also losing people. Because I suppose he sees the chief's son over there and goes, well, that's someone else who's lost someone. And then I suppose the expansion from that is, well, everyone else that's in this area must be someone else that someone else has lost, I guess. Someone else's brother or family or daughter or lover or whatever you want to put it. So I suppose that's how he kind of processes it, that he's so obsessed with what he's seeing, and it just says that it's selfish for him to become so obsessed with it. So when he returns, or he goes back to the seat and just kind of sits in there. And as I said at the start of this episode, he has that nice little shot where he just sits there and a single tear kind of runs down himself. That great shot, emotional powerhouse between he's crying in that scene all the way up until he sits down in that scene. Really, really good. Then he goes back to the chief, the village, and we find out he somehow got off the braid, and I don't know where he put
stuck it in his prison wallet.
I was about to say, I don't know where he snuck that in, but dude wears nothing really, but you know, whatever. So he finds it, presents the braid to the chief, and of course she breaks down and is crying. And then after this, we cut back to Sizemore, who is at Maeve's side once again, and she's kind of cut open from the neck, and she's cut open on like one of her arms, like to the. It's
kind of like cut open to access ports or something.
Because it's like cut open to the muscle level, I guess, is what we're seeing. Yeah. Like it's not through to bone or anything. It's just through to muscle mass, and then they're sticking a bunch of wires and stuff in. So yeah, it must be to do whatever they're doing, which we find out later is getting her code out, or copying her code out, or whatever her ability is, and they're copying it out of her. Then he, once again with this weird 180 Sizemore character thing, he says that you deserve your daughter, to mother her, etc., and he cries and apologizes to her for everything that he's done.
Do you think? I don't think she makes it to the end of the season.
No, I reckon she has to die, right?
Yeah.
I mean, how do you wrap up her storyline, continue it, but wrap it up in a way that makes sense for this season, and then set it up to continue next season? I mean, her storyline at this point is to save her daughter, right? So she can die, quote unquote, saving her daughter by getting her out of the park, I guess.
Well, I just take it that AK will just take over her like mission or role or whatever.
You reckon?
Yeah.
Because, well, we'll get to it in a minute, but he says that he'll look after her until she returns.
So like you failed your promise or something like that.
Yeah. I mean, she might die this season. I wouldn't put it out of the possibilities. I mean, how she gets out of her current predicament, I'm not. I
don't want her to die, but I just want that stupid superpower to go away.
Yeah. Well, that is a problem. But I mean, I don't know how she gets out of her current predicament at all.
Yeah. No, me either.
I don't. And unless his superpower gets more powerful and she starts literally just controlling every toaster in the facility and uses them to start an uprising.
I'm gonna burn your toast so you can't eat and you die from starvation.
Yeah, or something like that. I don't really know. So they and then the dude comes back in and explains that they took the code out of her. Or they didn't take it out of her, they copied her code out, or that section of code that was allowing her to communicate without speaking out of her, and that the fate of Maeve is being left up to Charlotte. Of course. And Charlotte is...
Speaking of Charlotte, she has no depth. She's just generic corporate bad guy.
Yeah, basically. And it annoys me because I really like the actress.
Yeah.
But out of all the characters that she plays, because she Ragnarok, She's
Yeah.
what's the fuck? Valkyrie.
Valkyrie.
And then she was in like Creed as the going deaf love interest of Creed in that movie. Very different. And then she's in a bunch of other stuff as well. And they're all very different. They're all varied characters with some stuff.
Yeah.
But this one is very much just what's her name? Tessa Thompson? Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's very much just corporate bad guy. But I mean she plays it well, so
Yeah.
whatever. I mean, Charlotte does the job of at least being better than your typical. It's either have her, I suppose, or
Yeah.
a dude army bro,
Yeah.
running around the entire time. I suppose is the alternative of what her role would be, I guess. And then the dude who was in there before like kicks out Sizemore and says you can't be here, I guess. They go to the past again.
Yep.
We're going all over the place. We go back to the past, and AK is starting to show his men all the maze symbol, or the symbol, the maze, whatever you want to call it. And seemingly by showing them it over some point, it triggers something in their coding or whatever.
They become woke.
And they become woke. I don't understand how it works. Doesn't really, I don't know if it makes sense. We could, I suppose, guess that Arnold put something in the code that the maze helps them trigger something. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know. Like, the only thing I can think of it's happening over an extended period of time, but we're only seeing parts of it where they're actually becoming awake.
Yeah, well, I don't think it happens over a very short period of time.
Yeah.
Like, we have no idea. He could have spent a year or two, like, AK himself could have spent a year or two or more, like, considering it was a 9-year period. He could have spent years and years and years obsessed and scribbling that symbol on
I think the idea of the maze is for them to come at it with, I don't know, non-linear thought where they're only really programmed to go through a story where they're kind of, I don't know, making decisions or stuff like that. And
they're making a choice to try and work out how to get the bowl to work.
Yeah.
Like a simple prospect, but in the reality of AI and the fact that they usually only do what they're told, that it's free thinking to a point, which I suppose they could just say that small amount of free thinking eventually evolves to a little bit more free thinking, and then they become woke. And that's what we really want. So they start off thinking, and then we learned that AK was always trying to warn
Maeve's
the daughter. Oh, before that, we mentioned that they. I forgot. Can't forget the scene where he cuts off that dude, his own man's head.
Yeah.
And scribbles the maze in it, which is the explanation of how the symbol ends up in there.
Which I find weird. Do like when they pick up the bodies, do they go try and find every body part around?
I guess they don't look. They can't just chuck them back together quick or something like that. I don't know that, but that's the.
Shit, his hands are backwards. Don't worry about it.
Yeah, no, it's fine. Whatever, however it works. And then we learned that the whole time throughout season 1, season 2, whenever we've seen any
Man in Black
scenes,
cuts off old mate's head or scalp and it's there.
Yeah, which we see. We saw in the first season even, and we saw in the first season several people cut off scalps and just be like, "What the fuck is this?" And we see Ford in a moment, of course, doing the exact same thing. So, but we learned that every time that we've seen scenes of Maeve and her daughter, Ghost Nation sneaking in, which we've always been played off as them trying to kidnap them or kill them or anything like that. But the whole time he's simply been trying to return the favor and save her life or make her woke.
What was the line? It was something about intentions in this world can so easily misunderstood or something.
Yeah, can get so easily misunderstood. And that's why he keeps drawing the maze outside their house, giving her rocks, giving her...
Granted,
all sorts of
did
things.
he have to be so creepy in doing it?
I suppose he doesn't speak English at this stage.
But even though he's still skulking around in his full fucking war paint.
Yeah, that's true. Could have taken that off before knocking on the door. Fucking
the single mother with the daughter in the middle of nowhere. That's fucking.
I mean, he did wander into towns before, just like wipe the war paint off, wander into one of those towns, buy a shirt, buy a nice suit, maybe, like before you're gonna knock on the door. Like maybe it'll play off a little bit differently. So then, but of course, they cut to the Man in Black scene after this because the Man in Black isn't Ghost Nation, and that's the one time that she's most scared of. Is that's the time that a dude wandered in and actually shot them all. So I suppose it's their memories of Man in Black doing that becoming mixed with Ghost Nation always sneaking around outside. I suppose, just kind of heightening their fear of that whole situation. And then we get one of the cooler scenes of the episode. I thought something I found this whole scene really eerie and weird, and it was something out of a horror movie, I suppose.
Yeah,
is presumably one night as AK and his men are out camping somewhere, AK's wandered off to take a dump. I don't know, like he's left the camp for a minute, and he's come back, and I suppose his men must have gotten into a fight with a bear.
Yeah,
I presume.
That's what I take it as, because I can't imagine he just went in there and set them all up like that.
No, he didn't. I presume that his men got into a fight with the bear as AK was off doing something else. Yeah. Because they're all frozen mid-fight with this bear, and then Ford's happened to wander in while this is happening and just said, freeze.
Yeah.
And that's what we've got. And then he's placed 4 lights out of his pocket around the area. And he's frozen them all, and he's got a nice chair set up and everything. Yeah, it's like let's assume he's drove a buggy in or something with all this. Like he hasn't just wandered around creepily like he usually does when he just pops out of the ground and walks around. Like, you didn't just carry all this on your back, Mr. Sir Anthony Hopkins. You're getting quite old. So he's cutting off everyone's scalps though, and he's investigating the symbol of the maze. And then AK wanders in, and they have this cool back and forth conversation. And Ford explains that he has indeed been watching over AK and what he has been doing, but he hasn't done anything about it thus far. This is the first time he seems to have come in to investigate him a bit more. And he asks where AK found the symbol, and he explains, found it at this bar one day, and Ford's like, fucking Arnold. What a dick. Like, always messing up my plans for everything. And then Ford tries to, initiate normal protocol, I suppose, on AK, like asking him, like, what is your prime motive? What is these sorts of questions? And then we learn that AK has basically overridden his core drive in the world, which I suppose as a Ghost Nation person would have been to kill people, rob, and bring death to my enemies, which is fucking everyone apparently. So but it's changed from that to spread truth and find the door for short terms, which that's this is once again coming down to the whole what is 3-4 kind of thing. But I mean, if he's overridden his core goal in life to be something that he actually wants, then that's no different to how, if you would ask us what our core goals in life are, you could be like, I don't really have one, but I'm sure
work as little as possible.
Yeah, I'm sure. Yeah, but you know what I mean? Like, a lot of people would have like, get rich or draw trying, or be lazy, or like find a job that I don't. Everyone kind of has their own thing, and he has set his core goal in life to be something on his own. Like he's reached that point where he's found that goal himself. So Ford though doesn't want to shut down this whole program, doesn't want to set up anything, and he says, when the Deathbringer returns for me, you will know to gather your people and go to the new world. Now Deathbringer is of course Dolores. Who is quickly becoming a bigger bad guy in the series than fucking. Which
is a quote that I saw from the bicameral mind in the first season. Ford does a speech where people have been thinking it's about Maeve or Dolores, but we actually think it's about them now. It goes, because you don't want to change or cannot change because you're only human after all. But then I realized someone was paying attention, someone who could change. So I began to compose a new story for them. It begins with the birth of a new people and the choices they will have to make and the people they will decide to become. So
it could be about them, I guess.
Yeah. It's about, I think ultimately it's about Ghost Nation going out and living it where I guess Dolores and all that is still part of the tool to facilitate that.
Well, Dolores is Well, it's Dolores is riding on a weird point where it's like, is she a good guy? Is she a bad guy? Because she's done so many things on her mission currently where she's becoming more of a bad guy. And Maeve, I mean, she's not out to help everyone. She's just like, it doesn't mean she's a bad guy. Like, I'm not saying she's a bad guy, but she's not like the hero of the story trying to help everyone else either. Whereas AK has slowly over time made other people woke and developed and brought more people together, and his sole reason for doing that is wanting to actually help them and get them out of there. So I mean, and as far as we've seen, he hasn't done any of the fucked up shit that Dolores is doing. So
that's right.
In a comparison to her, he is definitely a lot more of the hero of the story at this point, which is funny because up until this point, it's always been Ghost Nation bad, Ghost Nation evil. Don't stay the fuck away from them. They're not the good guys at all. So then we cut to a scene where Dolores returns and of course kills Ford at the big thing that happened at the end of the last season.
Yeah, he wanders through town again.
Back into the town again, which. Yeah, that's what I thought when we was talking about the teaser from last week, that I saw a shot of him in the war paint and not the war paint wandering the exact same town. So it must have been like a quick 0.5 flicker or something like that. Yeah. But AK wanders through the town, finds Ford's dead body, and then, quote, find the door before the death bringer brings death to us all, is what he says to the daughter as his goal, motivation currently. So... Are we setting up a confrontation between Ghost Nation and Dolores' people here?
That's what it's looking like at the moment, because every other major player just seems to be out of the game.
Yeah, so we'll talk about that in a minute, because I suppose we'll get to that next episode. But that's what I think. That's off that quote. It's kind of like, first Dolores, all right, have fun.
Yeah.
Back to the present, we get Grace wandering in to the Ghost Nation camp. Somehow just found her way there. I don't know. Let's just say she's really good at tracking. I don't know. She appears to be better at everything else than Man in Black. So let's just go with that. But she does find her way there rather easily, apparently. Well, I suppose she could have found his tracks dragging along the ground and then followed the horse tracks from there. It was on a beach.
Yeah.
I'll give it. Whatever works in my head. You got to talk yourself into something sometimes. And of course she does actually speak in their native tongue because she took the time to actually learn it. And she explains that she just wants her father and wants to take me away. And then at first AK is reluctant, like, no, he's staying here. And then she says that we want the same thing, but my way will be much, much worse. And then they're like, well, okay. And then she gets her daddy and chucks him on a horse and off we go. So, I mean, I don't know exactly what her plan with him is, because
what I don't understand is Ghost Nation's motivation with all the other guests, because they weren't going to kill the Man in Black because he didn't deserve it. Does that mean they got them all as hostages to kill, or I just don't understand, because that's the part they don't really explain.
I suppose they can explain that later. I don't know, but yeah, it's like, why were they kidnapping all these people?
Unless it's them to go, look, we weren't hurting them, we're saving them, we can coexist, kind of thing.
Yeah, possibly. Kidnap them and just hold them hostage as possible trading bait or something. I mean, war tactics type stuff. I don't know. Like, we never saw them kill anyone. All we ever saw from, even when they had
Stubbs
was just tied up just there. When they got Grace just tied up there. The first time they had any of those other people in the suits that we see in the background, they're always just tied up. We haven't actually seen them kill anyone. So we can't really jump to conclusions, I suppose. But I don't know what their plan was with Man in Black. I suppose just to watch him die.
Yeah,
I don't know. Just to show him. I don't know. But anyway, Grace has got him now. I don't know what her plan is either, because I believe, like, everything she said where she actually wanted him to come back home and, you know, to start the relationship again and all that sort of stuff, that all seemed very true. Like, that's actually what she wanted. Is her feelings just going to quickly 180? Like, that was your one shot, you fucked up, so now I will actually just go torture you under a fucking iron grid somewhere or something like that. I don't know. Or if she just lied to Ghost Nation to get him out, and then she's just going to carry him off and actually find a way to save him, heal him, or just carry him out of the park. I don't
Yeah.
know. Either way, Man in Black's big storyline about arriving at the Valley Beyond, that's done. There's no way you can fix him up in the next episode
No.
or have him arrive with all the other players that are headed towards the Valley Beyond now. It just
Not in a
doesn't make
way
sense.
that feels earned.
No. It'll just be odd. It would be weird. So I don't really know what you do with him at this point. It's
I don't know.
I
feel like,
preferred him to die.
I feel like, yeah, if they were going to kill him, they should have made a big impact and killed him last episode.
Yeah, it would have been way cooler because now they've just dragged it out in this episode.
He didn't add anything to this episode.
No. And is he going to add anything to next episode with Grace? No, because I don't really care about Grace. She's cool, I suppose. She seems badass, but is she has anything about her super interested me? No, not really. So I don't, he adds nothing to their relationship. I would have even honestly been happy if they'd done the story where she could have just talked him down and they'd left happily ever after. They just left the park episode 7, 8. They just leave. It would have been like, fuck, okay, but they're gone. It's either just kill him last episode or because I don't know what they do with him now to make him interesting.
No.
In the final scene, we cut back to Maeve in the facility. She's sitting there. Charlotte comes in and explains that Maeve had full control of the systems, unlike them. She's had it this entire time, somehow. And then she says that
she was changing stuff on the fly, doing all the tablet stuff without needing it.
She was unlocking people, changing their abilities. What she could basically do whatever the fuck she wanted. How she could do it just through her head, I guess the explanation is if they can just drag things up and down on the tablet, she just managed to do it in her head, I suppose, is what we're going to go with. The superpowers
Super hacker man.
Super hacker lady. So, and then Charlotte says that Maeve is communicating with someone now, and then we cut to AK, who is speaking to Maeve through the daughter, basically looking at her, and says that he will look after her daughter until she makes it back, if she makes it back.
Yeah.
And then we cut back to Maeve and credits, basically.
No, she says, she says the line,
take my heart. Yeah, take my heart, blah, 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 blah. Yeah.
Which gives me the impression that she's not going to make it. Saying something like that.
Because the partner didn't either, I guess.
Yeah.
Is the thing. So
I think that was a way to. It was him telling her the story was to make her trust him to look after
the daughter. Not like she had a fucking choice.
I know, but I guess to give her peace of mind, I suppose.
That's fair.
So because he would have seen her get shut down.
Yeah. Oh yeah. She would, as he carried off the daughter. Yeah. So I suppose going into next, did you watch the preview for next week's episode?
I did, but I didn't get a whole lot from it, to be honest.
Neither. It's very much. We're approaching the final 2 episodes, of course. So I suppose maybe they don't want to. They don't want to show much. As far as I could tell, there was barely any new footage in that teaser trailer for next week. It was all.
Yeah, it looked like all old stuff.
It looked like a combination of old stuff cut together just to show you that, hey, the next week everyone appears to be getting to the Valley Beyond, is what I gathered, though. I suppose is what the episode next week is. So, and the key players that I guess are going to show up are Dolores and her people. They're going to the Valley Beyond. But the humans, whoever you want to call that group, Charlotte and her people or whoever, they're going to be rocking up at the Valley Beyond. And now we're assuming
and they're all stupid. They're all going to run off a cliff like lemons.
And I suppose do you want to chuck in that the Ghost Nation people are going to be showing up at Valley Beyond as well?
They'd have to play some part because there's no.
Especially after this episode.
Yeah, they wouldn't have spent a whole episode fleshing them out for them not to take part.
Yeah,
in some way.
And as I say, I don't think Man in Black shows up because that's just ridiculous. So we're going to have a 3-way kind of confrontation.
Battle Royale.
Westworld's
gone Battle Royale
at the thing, and then Elsie might also show up on her own. I guess possibly.
I did.
Is the 4th party of the
Bernardo and Elsie coming as a duo.
Shout out to Elsie also, by the way. We're recording this the week of E3, and she is the actress that played the girl in the Last of Us 2 trailer.
Oh, is she?
Yep.
I had no idea.
There you go. Shout out to that. I can't remember the actress's name, but that's my trivia fact for you this week. Westworld. Last of Us. Naughty Dog stole a writer from Westworld, I think.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
Jonathan
and then
Nolan. That's a big
not Jonathan Nolan, someone else, and then they've got actresses from it now, though.
Yeah.
Overall, I thought this episode was really good. As I said at the start, though, there's not a lot. We get some random key factor things.
Yeah,
there's not a lot.
It's not one where you can extrapolate a whole lot of theory stuff from.
No, there's not a lot happening. It's. Well, I mean, there's a lot.
It's very
happening.
straightforward.
Very straightforward, and a lot of stuff they give you kind of just is stuff that makes sense. It's like, hey, they're cutting open the skulls and putting the symbols in, and that's kind of just to show you. Remember the whole time we've been watching the show, and you've wondered how those Maeve symbols got in the in there. That's how that happened. Did you ever wonder if Logan made it out? Here, that's how that happened. Did you ever wonder how the Maeve symbol even showed up in the park in the first place and how that all happened? Here, AK found it. Do you ever wonder how Ghost Nation actually started? There you go. Like, there's not much to theorize about it. It is very much fact-giving episode, but at the same time, I feel like it's one of the better episodes.
Definitely.
Because there's not much to theorize around, and it's very much, here's just a cool story. Here's a cool, weird love story inside the Westworld park. And I think it's probably it's tied for my favorite episode of the season so far, I guess.
I wouldn't go that far, but it's definitely up there.
It's definitely up there. It's definitely better than episode 3 or whatever the fucking the fort line. I'll continue to make jokes about that fucking episode. What trash. Let's hope that any sort of battle that happens next week's episode, any sort of confrontation, is better than that.
Just hope it's better because they've saved all the money for that.
And I suppose the one last question before we wrap up the episode is, do you think they're going to go Game of Thrones-ish? And by that, I mean, next week's episode's the big, the big everything happens, all the major things, if people are going to die, it happens next week. And then, of course, the finale is more of a wrapping up, setting up for the following season, which is what Game of Thrones always does. Or they...
I truly don't know. I think they'll try and buck expectations somehow.
Because I suppose the original season ended on a huge cliffhanger finale, of course. But with this season, it's been very much different spec things. Anyway, find out again. We'll find out next week. Thank you for joining us this week if you're listening on the audio version, explosionnetwork.com. If you're watching on YouTube, thank you for watching. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel, ring that bell so you're part of the notification squad. Fucking hell. Thank you for joining us. Rock and Mummy as always. If you want to watch the show live, you can head on over to twitch.tv/Explosion Network. Follow the channel. We post up and check out our Twitter at Explosion Pod, where we post up what exact time we will be airing the episode.
Because it's variable.
It's variable for many different factors, including E3 and all these other things.
Will it be on this week? Will it not? Who knows?
No, we're going to do the last 2 episodes. We're only missing 1 episode. It's fine. Don't be teasing people like that. But thank you once again. Until next week, you can follow me on Twitter at BevanWorld. You can follow Nick on Twitter at Lord Empire. Have a wonderful time in your park.
Yep. Head to the valley beyond.
Head to the valley beyond.